let's see if that started.
So it's really hard.
Right. Is it big dollars too?
It's a dollar, but capital stuff, they would bring the last time that you have.
Whole three.
You're reporting the gap and when you're reporting, you've got to put it in the right buckets.
Okay.
Why does this thing always
I can tell that that's kind of not.
I have to restart it every once in a while.
I do, I have it, it's just now it decided.
All right, 6 o'clock, we'll convene the council meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Monday, September 8th, 2025 City Council meeting. We'll look to approve or amend the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda tonight? Abe,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull 3-1 from the consent agenda, please.
it'll be 7.8. Any other changes? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve with the one noted change.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second. All right, motion by Zanto, second by Satterbach. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. No sheriff's report tonight. We'll move into consent agenda. Those items on the council agenda, which are considered routine or non-controversial, are included as part of the consent agenda. Unless a council member specifically requests that an item on the consent agenda be removed and considered separately, items on the consent agenda are considered under one motion, a second, and a vote. Any item removed from the consent agenda shall be placed under general business. Tonight on the consent agenda, we've got 3.2, approve the quote for pothole patching on Casey Parkway, and 3.3, approve payment of claims, bills, and transfer requests as presented. Is there anything anybody wants to remove from consent agenda? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Leroy.
Second.
Thank you, Abe. Motion by Schomer, second by Zanto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moves us to open forum. The public forum is intended to afford the public an opportunity to address concerns to the council. The public forum be no longer than 30 minutes in length, and each presenter will have no more than 5 minutes to speak. Topics of discussion are restricted to local governmental topics rather than private or political agendas. The council may discuss but will not take formal action on public forum presentations. I've got one person that signed up for open forum tonight, Claire.
My name is Claire Boulderly, 19685 Oak Grove Avenue. As a resident, I want to express my deep concern about the way this council has been operating. What I see and what many in our community see is a council that is struggling to function as it should. Instead of open discussion, we see decisions being made without full transparency. Instead of respectful debate, we see members shutting one another down. And instead of listening to the voices of residents, too often these voices are dismissed or ignored altogether. This is not how local government is to work. Local government should be the closest, most accessible form of representation. It should be built on openness, accountability, and the willingness to hear every perspective, even those that may be inconvenient or challenging. When decisions are made behind closed doors or rushed through without proper input, it erodes trust. Ignoring the voices of citizens doesn't just dismiss their concerns, it dismantles the trust that holds a community together. Our community deserves better. We deserve a council that respects one another, respects the public, and understands that transparency is not optional. The time for excuses and closed-door decisions is over. This council must remember who it serves. If you cannot commit to openness, accountability, and genuine public service, then you are failing the very people who place their trust in you. The community will not accept silence, secrecy, or dysfunction any longer. It is time for this council to step up, work together, and put the people first. As I must remind my family at times too, we are on the same team. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Didn't have everybody else sign up, but I'll give one more chance if anybody wants to speak in open forum tonight. Seeing nobody, we'll close open forum and move into general business. General business number 1, Resolution 2025-30, a resolution approving a 0.02 acre variance from the 10 acre minimum for home extended businesses. Chris is online. Chris?
Yep,
Evening.
I'm here. Good evening, council members and city staff and public. The variance this evening is for a resolution to approve a 0.02 acre variance from the 10 acre minimum for a home extended business that will operate out of an accessory structure on the property. It's an existing accessory structure. I know that there was some discussion earlier today by email about the size of the property, but the 0.02 acre that's being requested is based on a survey from the certificate of survey from the property owner that as part of that application. So I know that Scott County, I think, has something a little different on their website, but it clearly says on that website not to use that for tax records. And so we would go with the certified plat of survey for this. The lot is zoned rural residential, which requires that 10 acre minimum to operate a home extended business out of an accessory use. The applicant, and it's the next thing on the agenda here, in terms of what they want to do with that property, but this is basically just that variance request to operate the business on a lot that is very, 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 very slightly less than the 10 acre minimum required. And I don't know, I mean, I can go into a bunch more, but basically staff is recommending that this variance be approved, that the staff report is recorded into record, the application, testimony, exhibits, and other evidence presented is recorded, and to approve that request through the resolution. And I'm happy to answer any questions any of you may have.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Chris, and just to verify, this was recommended by the planning commission, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Council, any questions?
Were there any neighbors that objected to it?
To the variance?
Yes.
Nah, that came in the planning commission.
Okay.
Bill, you had something?
Yes, Chris. So this is a question on how to understand our ordinance. So the difference between the 9.98 and the 9.26 is the right of way that's on the property. Okay, that's the difference. And you can see them both on the survey.
Okay.
You can see gross acreage or gross parcel and right of way and net, whatever they call it on the survey. So when you're calculating a variance, are you calculating it based on the gross parcel of the land, or are you calculating it based on the gross or the net of right of way?
Well,
technically don't own, like, I know they pay taxes on it, but they don't own it.
right. So in this particular case, as far as I can understand, when I look at the survey, that right of way has not been dedicated as a separate parcel, right? And so in some cases, right of way is a separate parcel. In this case, there is basically an easement for the right of way. So while they still own, according to the property description, which is an old meets and bounds description, they own to the center of the road. There is an easement for the right of way in which they cannot do anything to that property, but because this has not been subdivided, and in going through an official subdivision process, they still own to the center line of the road. So we would use that. What the surveyor submitted, and the licensed surveyor submitted, is that the ownership goes to the center of the road. There is a right of way easement. And so that's how we read this, at least in this case. Now, if it went through a subdivision process, you would likely see that that right of way line be dedicated back to the city as part of that process. But in this case, they own to the center of the road, even though there is an easement for the right of way.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to confirm that because it's a much bigger variance if you.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you've seen, I can't remember the year, 2021, I think it was the first year I think I remember finding it, but Scott County went and adjusted everybody's net acreage of what it shows on your tax forms and on GIS, and removed the easements from that total, right? So if you look at your past tax statements over the years, you'll see the difference between 2020 and 2021 is changes the size of the lots. So it makes a 10-acre lot less than 10 acres all of a sudden, right? So, and because our ordinance does, work off of the net calculated acres for any development or any type of permitting. That's why this variance is necessary. So if anybody has any other questions, otherwise I take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Margaret, second by Satterbach. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. 7.2 related to that one is resolution 2025-31. A resolution approving an interim use permit to establish 2 home extended businesses at 18525 Texas Avenue. Chris.
Yep, I'm up again. So, again, as you said, the same applicant here is requesting to operate a tattoo parlor and a salon out of an accessory structure that exists on this slightly less than 10-acre property. The lot is zoned rural residential. It measures 9.98 acres. The property currently contains an existing family home and an accessory building, including this basically 960 square foot shop building. There's also a cell tower on the property. It has access to the home, which is off of Texas Avenue, County Road 27. There are some mature trees along the front property line. Most of the property is shrouded in trees. Property is served by a well and individual sewage treatment system. Planning staff recommends approval of this business in the manner in which the applicants have said they would operate it. They meet nearly all the requirements for home extended businesses in the RR district. It's just a requirement within the city and within this district that if you are going to operate a home business and have people come to your property, that you get an intended use permit and go through this process. So the proposed operations, they propose the following operations. Project to convert that existing detached shop building to home business for 2 small single owner businesses. The owners live in the residence on site, and there will be no additional employees other than those homeowners. The first area will be the tattoo shop, and the other second area will be the hair salon, operated again by the residents. There's no commercial vehicles or trailers associated with the business to be parked on site, no exterior storage of equipment, supplies, or products. The parking areas provided in front of the building are for client use, and they should be sufficient. Noise levels are non-existent. These will be operated within the buildings, so there shouldn't be an issue there, or within the building, excuse me, there shouldn't be an issue there. No discharge of waste in the soil. Contract for trash removal is provided. Businesses sign, and I think this was one that Emily and I discussed a little earlier. They may not be doing a sign, and maybe the applicants are there and can explain a little bit more about that, but they basically, what it says in here is provided less than 12 square feet for both businesses. Individual sewage treatment will be installed for the new business to basically a system that is sufficient for both, and that is a condition of the approval of the intended use permit. The Planning Commission held a hearing and reviewed this request as well. The Planning Commission unanimously voted to recommend approval of both requests, with both the requests, the variance and this with conditions. Any amended conditions have been italicized in the recommended conditions section below in the staff report. So staff recommends approval with the following conditions. There are a few of them. I can go through them here real quick. Compliance with all necessary county, state, and federal registrations, permits, licensing, and regulations, including building and fire codes. The interim use permit does not void any other city or state requirements not explicitly listed in these conditions. The hours of operation for both home extended businesses shall be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Operation shall be conducted according to the submitted plan, specifications, and narrative unless modified by a condition or amendment of the IUP. Number 4, approval is contingent upon the approval of the requested variance, which is good. 5, the applicant must obtain approval of the individual sewage treatment system from Scott County Environmental Services prior to issuance of the permit. The interim use permit, excuse me. No business operations may commence until that septic system is fully installed, whatever needs to be done to receive that approval from Scott County. The applicant shall obtain a sign permit for the proposed sign if they choose to go forward with that. All parking for the proposed business must occur within the property in the designated area. Parking on Texas Avenue is prohibited. The applicant shall provide a proof of contract with a waste hauler prior to project commitments and shall maintain adequate waste hauling. Number 9, in accordance with sections 273 and 825 of the city zoning ordinance, this interim use permit will expire upon the occurrence of the following events. A, the date specified in the interim use permit. B, re-subdivision of the property. C, rezoning of the property. D, changes or amendments to the comprehensive plan that affect the property on which the home extended business exists. Or E, the operator or owner or the use changes. And then 10, any violation of these conditions may result in a revocation of the interim use permit. Yeah, so we again are recommending approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Council members, any questions or comments for Chris?
No.
If nobody has any questions, I'd look for a motion to approve resolution 2025-31, a resolution approving an interim use permit to establish 2 home extended businesses at 18525 Texas Avenue.
So moved.
Thank you, Jay.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion by Seiderbach, second by Schomer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move to 7.3, Scott County Ditch 4 Abandonment. Administrator Jelinski, do you have this one?
Sure.
Perfect.
So thank you, council and mayor. So last meeting, we talked about the abandonment of ditch 4, the options that the council has, and then some options depending on the option that you choose. So just to recap those, you can do nothing, and the county will most likely choose to abandon ditch 4, which will then put any liability on the homeowners for any type of maintenance or upkeep or disputes that come with that. The other option is the city would transfer responsibility as the ditch operator, and then we would take over responsibility of the maintenance, the upkeep, any type of issues that arise in the ditch. And then we would also get the easements through the properties for the ditch. A couple questions that were brought up at the last meeting. One of those was, would the county give it to us in I'll call it a move-in ready condition? And in the packet was kind of a summary of some problem areas that have been addressed. And then another question is, would the county be willing to help financially with the ditch? And the answer to that was no, but also yes. No, because the county can't they can't have financial responsibility of the ditch. It's based on the benefited homeowners. So any projects that are done, any maintenance, any upkeep is then assessed to the benefiting properties. So they don't have money for the ditch. What they did say though is that they are willing to transfer any positive fund balance that they have in the ditch to the city that's left after any of the projects that are done. We had a meeting on Friday with the county because we just received the information that was in the packet of the 3 projects that they've identified. The major one being the Bull property. And so without having gone out for bids, the estimate right now is between $50,000 and $100,000 for that. They did say there's also a negative fund balance currently in the ditch fund. So what they are willing to do is do one final assessment on the property, on the benefiting properties that are currently existing, get those projects finished and completed before they transfer responsibility to the city, should we choose to do so. That could be this fall yet, that could be next spring, next summer, depending on when that takes place, but they want to make sure that those projects are done and over before they transfer that to us. So the county, with their meeting next week, is just looking for an answer to what the city is wanting to do, whether we take over responsibility. We would have to pass a resolution at our next meeting in order to make it official, but they would they would accept a verbal, here's what our plan is via motion if you choose to do one tonight.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Council members, questions or comments?
Question, Scott County said they would transfer the balance in the fund, but we have a negative fund balance.
So do we write
That's
that
very
check?
generous.
or-
So they would assess to make sure that so that we would have a positive fund balance to transfer to us. They did not say what that balance would be. But they want to make sure there's something available for us, whether it's to do a study, whether it's to anything that comes up in the, before we decide on whether we're going to do a stormwater fee or how we're going to pay for anything that comes up. So it's not going to be a large amount, but it would be a positive balance.
So, go ahead, Abe.
Would that be after the 4 projects that so if we're already negative, and then we've got, the way I look at it, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, about $100,000 worth of projects. So they're gonna assess over 100 then for these?
So they're going to go out for bids for the projects to get a better estimate of what the projects will cost. Because they did a project on a different ditch and the tree removal estimate came almost double of what they thought. So when they propose this, this is just their best guess, and until they go out for bids, they won't know for sure.
Can you help me understand a little bit more about the assessment process? So let's just take the full, is that completely, I mean, who's the benefiting? Of
So
properties?
sure, Councilman Rosanto, that map that I had sent to you after the last meeting,
All of those.
all of
Okay,
those
so it's not just,
existing benefiting properties, yeah.
okay.
I thought that the reason that they were looking to abandon this was that they didn't have the ability anymore to assess benefiting properties, and they had to do another study, which was very cost prohibitive in order to be able to assess. So what changed?
So they're looking at it, Councilmember Soderbach, as if we were to take that over, they want to hand it over we wanted a clean.
That would be the way we would want it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to just accept it because they're abandoning something.
Yes.
on
So
the-
they were choosing not to do any more projects because they wanted to do the redetermination, which
Okay.
would have cost $250,000
Yeah,
to do
all right.
that. So
So how are they charging? How are they going to assess people
they're going to assess it with the existing
with the
benefiting
existing
properties.
base? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Soderbach, I was observing that meeting. And in my opinion, they did not answer your question. They can't do these things without redetermining benefit. That costs a lot of money, but we'll do these things based on the existing. Those, in my view, are irreconcilable. I don't know where that leaves the city, but to me, that's an open question legally.
But that would be on the county, should they choose to do the improvements. If the county chooses to do the improvements and somebody challenges the assessment.
Mr. Mayor, council members, we're in a little bit of uncharted territory here. We need to know what condition we received the ditch in. Is it exposed to claims when we received it against that fund or not?
Okay,
Okay,
all right,
but that would be,
Further
that could be
a liability.
potentially taken care of in a legal agreement.
If the county's willing to assume that responsibility, and what they've told us, and I'm not sure that they're correct, but staff was taking the position that they have no ability to spend any money other than what's been assessed against these ditches to maintain these ditches. I'm not sure that the county's hands are quite that tied about resolving issues between the county and its partner jurisdictions.
Okay. Markin?
So the maintenance needs assessment of County Ditch 4 upstream of Texas Avenue, did they only look at a portion of the ditch? I mean, or did they look at the whole ditch? And determine that only these are the only problems with the ditch.
Sure. What they told us at the meeting, Councilmember Markert, was that these were complaints that they received about ditch 4, and that they only followed up on the complaints that they received from the ditch.
Okay.
So they haven't done a full survey of the entire ditch, because they would have to redetermine to do so.
I went back and looked at the weather, the precipitation, when those pictures were taken, and most of them were taken July 1st. We had like 2.5 inches of rain a couple of days, a day or two before that, and I wonder if they got complaints because there was so much rain that fell in that amount of days. So we don't really, there could be other problems, but we don't know what they are. Nobody complained because no one looked in their backyard.
Correct.
To Bill's point, Bill, they had complaints 4 years ago on this ditch. And it wasn't addressed, and the sediment has been building up ever since.
Right. So why didn't they fix it when they were getting the complaints?
They
They just pushed.
I
that.
think they had intent to abandon and hope that everybody forgot about it.
They claimed that they didn't have any money in the account to fix it.
So here's a question for the city attorney, and I don't know if you can answer this or not.
This is the way our meetings go, Bill.
Yeah. I looked at the statutes and it talks about you can petition the water authority, the drainage authority or whatever to abandon a ditch. Was there any benefiting properties that actually petitioned the drainage authority, or was it the county that took it upon themselves to send out a survey to ask benefiting properties? Because I couldn't find that the county is able to do that and just say, we're done. You know, we want to get rid of it. So therefore, we're just going to put out a survey. The survey was, I would have actually answered my survey differently if I knew that the city might assume responsibility, because if that was the case, if that was another option, I would have said, no, I want the county to continue doing it rather than pushing all the obligations and the costs onto our city. So I didn't let you answer my question.
Yeah, I don't know the factual background for how they arrived at their 51% or better that they report in their record. But the county's public record indicates they have the authority to make the choice to abandon. They got the right number of responses.
I understand that.
But I don't know how they got there.
Yeah, who petitioned?
I don't know the answer.
You recall?
I don't know if there was a petition by the resident or it's just
A
part of the
benefited
county.
property.
The county process was that they're reviewing all of these.
The only.
Because you know, they've gone through, I don't know, 4 other ones and have abandoned them already in the process of another one.
Right.
Yeah.
Their wording was survey.
It was a survey, it wasn't a petition, and. What was I gonna say now? I lost my train of thought.
Well, one thing maybe to help you with, and to think and consider, Bill, while you're thinking about that. Well, you may be right that it may still would land under the county's jurisdiction if it's unabandoned. However, they believe that they would need to redo the determination of benefits, right? So which is under the statute, from my understanding, that the county has to follow to determine that benefits is a very expensive process, and probably the assessment to the benefiting properties would have to cover that $250,000 to do because of the need to hire, what do they call those, observers or viewers, ditch viewers at X amount of dollars per acre. And so then that ends up on there. So should the city take it over? Well, yes, we do end up with another stormwater utility, much like our stormwater ponds that we already have, our culverts and other pieces that, you know, as we talked earlier, probably need some sort of capital plan already today. This one fits into that same piece then at a much lower cost that are benefiting residents because they don't have to pay that $250,000 for the determination of benefits. Plus we get a, you know, if they resolve those known issues that we have today, that first $100,000 of maintenance is taken care of before we even get it. Hopefully.
So we could also rename it Credit River.
Well, it is
It is
technically,
now. I
but
know.
there's pieces of the Crit
Right.
River that have been
Yeah.
ditched, and if that's what ditch 4 piece is, not the entire stretch of the Credit Rivers ditch for.
This is gonna sound like a stupid question, but why can't we dam the ditch? Or fill in the ditch so it just goes through the Credit River? Can't we do that?
Well, the problem, where do you put the dam then? Because you
I don't
you
know.
remember, because you got water coming down from Gray Fox, you got all those developments up there on that side contributing to the water that will lands in that stormwater ditch. You've got water from the east, the developments in the east, Terra Farms newly in there. I mean, it's the benefiting properties of it's probably 75% of the city. Shane, I see you turned your microphone on. That must be.
Yeah, I mean, the ditch or the Credit River extends all the way into Newmarket Township, so if the city dammed. A part of the ditch or the river. It would
Where they
likely flood
divert.
properties that haven't flooded for the last 50 or so years. We would advise against that. That's actually fairly common. I mean, a lot of Minnesota was ditched in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So, you know, the drainage patterns that were here for thousands of years beforehand, all were changed during that time period. And now it's been so long that we try to, you stick to the drainage patterns that are existing. Because if you did something different, if you dammed a ditch or a river, it would have some pretty large impacts.
When you see the impact on that one property with that gorge that was eroded out of what was once upon a time a creek you could take one step over. Yeah. And that's what's causing, I think, a lot of this sediment being plugged up in this area.
Sure. I mean, looking at the photos also, we've got, I mean, there is dead trees, dead debris. The problem with that is it floats, eventually gets washed downstream where it collects. And if it were to collect on some of our town or city road bridges, city bridges, things like that, which aren't very large, or some of the culverts, we could have, you know, and in a certain event, we could wind up having to replace a lot of things, and have a lot of damage done. By simply abandoning it completely and allowing it to go back to the DNR, that essentially means that you're hoping that somebody who has a property through there actually takes care of it themselves. And that they're not somebody that allows it to just get washed, the problem to get washed downstream where it all collects. And, you know, without having an authority over it, I can see this as being a big problem in the future, so at some point. And it's not something we can revisit and take it back. This is a one-time, as I understood it from the other previous discussion. This is a one-time decision. Should we decide to not accept it and take it over, we can't go back and revisit that and take it over in the future where we might have a problem. I also see this as being a case where we essentially we'll just create some sort of a citywide, if we were to do a citywide stormwater drainage, everything else, just to basically cover it in a capital improvement plan and just fold it all into one, so that we're taking care of culverts, ditches, this ditch, retention ponds, and everything else, which, you know, unfortunately going through our budget hasn't been a dollar figure in our budget before. So it's something that needs to be done. That's my 2 cents on it.
So, Mr. Mayor, can I make a statement?
Yep.
About what my position is? I'm gonna vote tonight, if we're taking a vote, not to have the city assume responsibility for the ditch for the following reasons. Number one, the survey completed by benefiting properties showed that the majority were in favor of abandoning the ditch. And since these property owners are Credit River residents, I'd want to listen to the majority of what our residents told us, that they wanted to abandon the ditch. Number two, the county is delivering a ditch that has not been properly maintained. There are so many unknowns. We got a little bit of information, I guess, with those projects, but we don't know what shape it is, the entire ditch. We don't know how much it's gonna cost to repair. We don't know how much it's gonna cost to annually maintain it going forward. The county provided estimates to repair it a few years ago in the survey letters, but they provided no estimates on the ongoing maintenance costs. The repair costs they provided were low-end estimates according to their letter. The low-end estimate was $195,000 to repair things. The redetermination that Shane gave us, he gave us a $50,000 number, so we're $245,000 we'd have to come up with. The county also said in its letter that the estimates don't include administration costs. They don't include seeding and erosion control costs or hauling costs if materials cannot be kept or discarded. County said the costs were purely estimates, that they are on the low end. A full review of the ditch would need to be done to figure out exactly how much work would need to be done. The county also stated in its letter that certain actions of the ditch may be subject to regulatory programs that we'd have to get involved with, Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act, Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, Public Waters Inventory, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Section 404 permitting, whatever that means. These regulations may limit the ability for the ditch to be fully repaired and may also result in additional costs, such as the purchase of wetland replacement credits, whatever those things are. Number 3, the county is delivering a ditch without any fund balance being transferred, although that might change if they agree to give us something as opposed to a negative number. As I mentioned earlier tonight, the survey the county sent out to benefiting properties never claimed that there would be a third option like Credit River assuming responsibility, having to tax our residents for it, pay for maintenance. I think that would have, for me personally, would have changed my vote. I would have voted that the county not abandon it. They continue to have authority for it as opposed to our city. The city is number 5. The city isn't prepared from a staffing and public works infrastructure perspective to assume responsibility of the ditch at this time, assuming the responsibility and associated costs that the county says no longer serves its purpose, to me is not prudent at this time. I believe number 6, we're placing too great of an importance on the easements that would transfer to the city, because it's my understanding that the reason why we're making a decision tonight, or we have to make a decision soon, is because if we don't make a decision, those easements go away. I don't know. I think there's too many unknowns to just to take that one benefit. I don't think we should do it. Number 7, if upstream residents are causing issues for downstream residents or vice versa, the downstream residents always have the option to use the courts to get the issue resolved. Government doesn't always have to get involved with everything. We should encourage our residents to be neighborly and work with one another. So if they're clogging up something and it's impacting your land, you got to deal with it. So for those reasons, if we do have a vote tonight, I'm going to vote no, that we do not assume responsibility to maintain the ditch.
Just one note on what you said there, Bill.
Yeah.
The city would not be taking on a $200,000 liability out of the gate if the county takes care of the repair that we know is needed and provides a fund balance going forward. And if there's no other immediate needs that have to happen right away, because we won't have to go through, we did talk about potentially going through a redetermination of benefits, having Shane do that, but that wouldn't be necessarily the way we approach it either. So I think just
Yeah, it's gonna be something more than $100,000, most likely.
maybe, maybe not. We don't know that, Bill, right? We don't have that answer because it's if the projects are completed and the only thing that we ever talked about was, maybe going forward, doing some sort of a capital improvement study of all of our wetlands and stormwater utilities as a piece rather than identifying just ditch 4 items. That's my point to that. I think that number that was a little
Their
inflated.
number 195 was inflated, you think?
Yeah,
And that was a 2-year-old number.
yeah, right. So I know where you got the number from. The number was from when the county sent out their letter saying they believe that there's $200,000 worth of work that needed to be done. They didn't even check, they didn't even estimate it. And they
Okay,
appear that's all I'm saying. I'm not,
Yeah. I get.
I think that number just isn't correct from what we know today compared to what the letter said from the county 2 years ago.
Okay.
Anybody else, comments or questions? Again, I think county is looking for some sort of motion from us and direction on what our process would like to be going forward.
Well, I'll make a motion that the city does not assume responsibility of the ditch.
I think as a.
Hang on one second. I just want to see if anybody's gonna second Bill's motion before you, before we have any more discussion. Is anybody wanting to second Bill's motion? Hearing none, motion fails to gain a second. Leroy, you have,
As residents that live along there have been asking for something to be done with this, and the county finally is gonna do something after 5 or 6 years. And I've been out to several meetings out there with homeowners. If it was your land that was flooded, you'd be up in arms all over, because you can't use it, so. I think we should try and do something if they're gonna abandon it. Not saying that we stick thousands and thousands of dollars into it, but if we can improve portions of it each year, every few years. And from County Road 27 on down, probably 10 years ago when that was cleaned up to the bridge at County Road 68 here, that's in really good shape. And the rest of it downstream is good. It's just that portion that seemed to get the silt and everything from some of the farmland and development. So
So is it to be understood then that actually, if we say we would accept it. At their abandoning it. They would actually be correcting those problems.
Yeah, I'd say-
Is that safe to understand?
Jay, I would put it to you this way. I would suggest if we were to make a motion in that order tonight, that we would do that. In our motion be
Contingent
to
upon that.
the direct staff to negotiate that with the county, right?
Right.
You know, because again, we don't have a resolution prepared for it tonight or anything like that, but that would be. My suggestion is that if we're gonna do something, that we suggest it could be contingent on the county taking care of these pieces and working, negotiating an agreement towards the transfer of it. Not just accept it, not just accept the transfer tonight.
Yeah.
Negotiate the transfer of it.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'm really conflicted on this one because there's a lot of things, the bill you brought up that are super valid. I'm very concerned about having a utility fee, because that's one more thing that we have to put from a fee structure on individuals. I'm also very concerned that we are asking the citizens to be neighborly, and sometimes neighborly doesn't happen, and it affects way more people than just my next door neighbor. So I really struggle on this because I can see both sides, and I really wish we weren't in this situation. With that said, my biggest concern is how do we even tackle this? If we were to take this on, we don't have the staff, we don't have it in our budget, we don't have anything of that nature to take this one on, let alone our the stormwater that we have currently that we aren't keeping up to date. So this is a large fiscal responsibility that we're taking on if we do assume this. So I'm really pausing based on that in and of itself. And I think that if we do vote to approve to take on the responsibility, I think it has to be with some contingencies that they give us more than a negative balance, that hopefully there can be like $1 once they add some dollars in there.
Right.
They've got to be able to help fund more than just these 4 items. We know it's been neglected. I mean, maybe we go back to the complaints that have happened for 4 or 5 years and give those to Scott County and say these haven't been rectified, to be able to at least get additional dollars in place so that we can rectify those before they let go of it. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Leroy.
Probably 15, 18 years ago, we were given Murphy Boulevard back. And at that time, the county offered us
a few dollars to take it back. And we negotiated it on 50,000 a year over 3 years. So we got 50 each year to improve sections of the road. They did fix the cement culverts, but didn't do a very good job. We had to go back and repair a bunch of those. And if we could get something like that, I don't know, some money each year for 3 years or something, I think it would go a long way.
Or maybe we could renegotiate the 27. County Road 27 improvements, and say, we'll just wipe that off. And we'll call it even.
That is.
Now, remember what Steve said before is that the county is not intending to fund any of this from their levy, right? So anything to Leroy's point, if you can ask for something like that, it's gonna come through an assessment of the existing benefit rolls, right? So whether it's through that or whether there's some other way.
So basically, our residents are able to- yeah.
Whether you do it that way or you
You're paying for it.
build out and again. We haven't talked about whether a stormwater fee or we don't even, because we don't even know what our capital improvement plan for just stormwater utilities in general. Right now, as we talked earlier, we don't know. All we know is that we inspect them. We do our MS4 permitting, but we haven't done any capital improvement projects. We know we know that the pond, pond and 2 lakes that have had issues that where we know that there's needs that we haven't even touched yet. And then I keep going back and thinking about all the developments now in Credit River that do drain and use this as its stormwater conveyance. So it is a benefit to probably 75% of the properties in Credit River. But you're right, I would want to make sure that we negotiate the right terms of this if we were to take this transfer. To make sure that, number one, those pieces that they've identified are completed. And that there's a positive fund balance. So at least it gives us some padding to.
How do you get a positive fund balance without taking something to levy? I mean, so you're just gonna assess more.
Depends on how their assessment piece works, right? Yeah.
Well, the other side is the county has an ability to probably move some money around to take care of it. I mean, if they want to get rid of the liability, they're gonna get rid of it anyway.
Yeah.
But if they want to get rid of the liability without further liability, then maybe there's a benefit to them paying something to get rid of it.
I'm really frustrated with that letter because there was not an option.
Right.
We would take it over. It was either they're gonna abandon it or they're gonna fix it. That was the only 2 options. I would have voted differently if I knew that they were pushing it onto Credit River, and I think, I don't know what the other residents that filled out the survey would do, but doesn't seem right.
They worded it just right.
Councilmember Market, I would say they're not pushing it onto the city. We were given a third option that the city could take it over if we chose to. If we do nothing, then they will abandon it. So
And they probably wouldn't do the maintenance pieces that
Yeah.
need to be done.
And
that have been
to
identified.
Councilmember Schomer's remarks earlier, that the county cannot levy for the ditch. They're not statutorily allowed to do that. So it would have to be assessed. Anything they do on the ditch has to be assessed by the benefiting properties. And Attorney Michael did remind me during the meeting, they thought they would hand somewhere between a $6,000 and $10,000 positive balance to the city. Once the assessments were done and the negative fund balance was corrected and the repairs are finished.
So question. If they abandon it, they're still going to go forward with these repairs or not?
I don't remember them saying either way.
If they're abandoning it without a transfer, they're doing nothing more.
So then essentially they've abandoned it. Credit River still has a problem
would be on the homeowners.
but it'd be on the homeowners. And probably not the homeowners right there, but homeowners downstream.
Yeah, I think where the problem is and where the water effects are two different properties.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of like a plumber, Jay.
Right.
Find it out, it's,
Right.
you know where it's going. It's
Right.
Down. It's, you know. It'd be nice to. Keep this thing cleaned out so it functions, it's the main waterway through.
Well, and as you have other developments, that we've had developments down there, they're, you know, all of those fields that used to absorb things. Now have ditches and things like that, whether they go into a retention pond or not, the overflow is still going into this.
They're all tile,
Yeah.
so. Hey,
One more question on these assessment for the benefiting properties, how is that assessment? Collected, that's not put on the residents' tax bill, or is that a specific?
Would be.
Okay.
Yeah. Did they give a timeline? Was it not all at once? Was it over a period of time? Did they talk about that?
I think it was a 3-year assessment is what they generally do at the county for the ditch.
Okay. Any other questions?
Are we actually looking for an action tonight?
So I think, is it next Tuesday? That the county will have this on their agenda and they are looking for some sort of direction from us as to the direction that we're intending to take.
It's kind of hard for us
You're gonna go to
to,
that meeting?
it's kind of hard for us to, give them a direction when we need to do some negotiating.
But that could be the direction, right? I mean, as I said before, if we're going to do this, I would recommend some sort of motion that suggests that we're asking staff to negotiate those terms with the county.
with conditions.
Right, to make sure that we're not just giving them a blank ability to turn it over to us, that we're asking for, we're giving them, that our intent is to negotiate the terms with them and work out those deals so that it's as favorable as that we're gonna get.
If we were to do that, Bill, what are some of the more important bullet points that you have that should be negotiated?
I want a clean ditch, number one. But that's just one piece of it.
Right. Well, that's
Like,
what
we
I
don't
said
have,
too.
like Abe said, we don't have the infrastructure to maintain it going forward. We don't know how much it costs us to maintain it going forward. So there, to me, there's too many unknowns and on day one, I'm not comfortable assuming a risk that I don't know what the total potential there is. So I don't think you could give me anything.
So you said it's been 10 years since the county's done anything?
Yeah,
North
So-
of.
so they-
27.
So they've gone for 10 years without doing anything,
Right,
right?
what maybe they didn't wanna do it,
right.
like, we're not cleaning out our ponds, I guess. It's like. Let me ask,
So
let
the
me
choice
ask,
then keeps coming back then, whether or not, I mean, there may be issues that come up from time to time, and it's whether or not we have a regular maintenance function to keep the costs low over time, or is it wait till you have big projects to do? Or like the county, take the approach that they did, unless there's something big that comes up, do nothing.
I'd rather, if I had a choice, I'd rather. And I'm probably the minority here, I'd rather wait to have a problem and then try and resolve it than assume it on day one.
And
Because I don't know how big the problem is.
yeah,
And we
and-
gotta
and
remember,
that's-
57% of these, of the benefiting properties said to abandon the ditch. I mean,
However, you
57%.
said you were one of them that wouldn't have if you.
Right, but I can't go back in time and.
Right, but how many of those people understood? Cause I just read the letter again, and
Yeah.
it looks like we're either gonna say $400,000
Pay a lot of
or
money.
nothing.
Yes,
Yeah,
Right, well, of course I want nothing.
right.
So I don't know, I think it's challenging to say that
How,
the residents would wanna tackle a problem at the end.
yeah,
And a lot of the residents said, how can they abandon a county ditch?
Mhm.
So.
Right, one that the county approved stormwater plans from developments that they approved, where the stormwater uses that as the conveyance.
is it a difficult process and costly from a lawyer perspective to
You said lawyer.
If it's difficult and costly, yes, I don't need to know the rest of the question.
to go and get easements on properties after the fact? Because we lose all the easements if we don't assume it on day one, but what if we don't assume it, but we want an easement to fix something in the future?
So that question the answer to that question depends on, first and foremost, a political position of the council. Up till now, in the couple of years I've been here, there's been a strong political view against ever using eminent domain. Without using eminent domain, acquiring those easements could be impossible.
Okay,
So that's as difficult as it gets.
okay.
If eminent domain is something the council
do
is
that.
open to, then it's possible to make it happen. The costs of acquiring land through eminent domain are generally significantly more expensive, just the transaction cost side of things, than doing a deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then, I guess, the reason I'd like to see us look at taking this over, we have the easements in place, we have the setback or whatever that's in place now, the 35 feet on each side, different things like that, that would all go away, and
It'd make it
who knows,
nearly impossible to do anything in
who
the
knows
future.
what they're gonna, what someone would do. So,
Yep, that's the only benefit. Is the easement.
right.
Benefit to make sure that the stormwater coming from benefiting properties in Carter River continues its conveyance. I mean, that's because there is from time to time been some problems, right? I think, even down here, there's been some problems. We know that there's some trees north of 21 on property that the city owns up there. That could be a problem time to time. That's probably one of the more difficult areas to get to, but
And back north of 68, several large cottonwoods fell over it. And then beavers got in there and built dams, and that's why they went down. Cleaned out probably several thousand feet of the ditch and removed those trees and dams
mhm.
in that portion.
Well, is anybody ready to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, in the form of the motion, since it would be directing a negotiation, if it could be stated in the highest form of level of objectives, so that we're not negotiating at a table in public around things that we're hypothesizing responses and such. And if there are like hard deal breakers, like if they're not going to do X, we're not interested. Those sorts of things would be very helpful for us and also for the county to know whether they're even interested in negotiating with the city.
Okay, thank you. I think the showstopper would be is if they don't complete these.
Yeah, that's the first.
And end with a positive balance.
I have a question, is it possible to make a motion to enter negotiation without an expected result?
Yes, it is. The more specific the motion, the more the county knows whether they're interested in reacting to it. But the negotiation would be, we know that when we come back to you with a proposed deal, if it's within the parameters you've set, there's maybe a yes. And if we can't get the parameters you set, then we come back to you and tell you this is as far as they're willing to go without a recommendation from staff to accept it. But yes, you can direct us to negotiate by motion.
So what are the? if the staff was to negotiate, what are the deal breakers on it? I mean, we have, basically, I think we have to create a motion if we're gonna do something, or we're not, you know, and, then I think we need to figure out what we need out of this, out of the deal in order to, for staff to be able to do something. And, at the same time, I'm not looking to tell the county tonight that we're gonna do something. Unless they do something.
Number one should be to do the 4 tasks that they laid out. Painting the ditch. They have the 4 cleaning areas
And-
numbered, so
And end with a positive fund balance.
4 times what they, no.
Well, no,
Yes.
because you gotta remember that still lands on,
I know. Hey, what conditions do you have? I know.
Do we have any other complaints that we, I mean, I think it would be good to find those complaints too, that we've had in the past.
so maybe disclose any,
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is, maybe the disclosure of past complaints.
yeah.
And if there's has been any action,
Well, do we have any complaints that haven't been forwarded to them or that haven't been addressed? Do we have a history of any that we've received from residents? Probably not, but they would have complained to the authority, which would have been the county, correct?
yeah, I think all the, we've got the same recent complaints in these 4 situations.
Carolyn moved out, so she was the
Okay,
biggest complainer to them.
what about a, essentially a guarantee of a hold harmless? The county would hold harmless the
Release of
city for
liability.
release of any liability, past or future. That on their, you know, from, it's passed through them.
So anything so. From the point of transfer backwards, so anything that.
Point of transfer
anything
backwards,
under-
but I'm also even looking at what if they have, you know, what if they have. They do the work, they do their assessments, and then they get some more lawsuits, so they can't just turn something over to us and say, hey, we lost the lawsuit, so. You know, it's now your problem. I'm also concerned about that. I mean, they should indemnify us completely
Attorney Michael.
and hold harmless.
Yeah, it is possible to seek an indemnity or hold harmless, whether the claims arise in the past or in the future, as long as the liability arises out of what happened when they had it.
Correct,
Like if they screw up this assessment
right,
before they hand it over, that's something we would want them to hold us harmless.
Right.
Or that would be, if they're willing, that would be an appropriate legal vehicle.
Does the county have any liability for not doing any of this? You know, if it's been their duty to maintain this ditch and clean it and do everything, and they haven't done the work. I mean, and they just abandon it and walk away from it, do they still have liability? And that's it, say if we didn't take it up, is there still something, do they have some sort of any liability on that?
So I can't bless them with, freedom from liability for all circumstances at all times without knowing the details. But because the law allows them to abandon it completely, I would think claims against the county for having failed to maintain it, probably an uphill battle.
Okay.
Okay,
So what are the items we have so far?
so I've got complete the projects as outlined in the presentation it gave us. Positive fund balance, disclosure of past complaints, and release of liabilities. Those are the 4 details that we would, at this point, would recommend that staff negotiate with the county upon.
Do they have,
Motion.
do they have any records, surveys, any information, useful information that we would want to take possession of? Records?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Counselor Sauterbach, I think they do have an original ditch plan. And we would wanna
Mhm.
request that as part of the transfer.
Okay,
Any, if you know, maybe any of their records, files on the history of the ditch and its maintenance?
release of data.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could just add on the list of complaints, it would also be helpful to know if the county took any action to
Yep.
resolve those complaints. That would help us understand if, you know, there's a bunch of unresolved situations out there.
Yeah.
But in my experience, likely there's two main things, it's trees and sediment. So,
Mhm.
you have a big storm, you have a big, you know, some event, you have a lot of trees that may come down. And then sediment is more of a over time. So if you get on a schedule, maybe every 10 years, every 15 years, whatever that is,
Mhm. Hit the spots that you know.
right? It's usually the spots that have the flattest slope on the
Mhm.
ditch that accumulate the sediment.
And that's kind of why sediment is where it is on these four areas, because it's flat. There isn't much drainage there.
Okay. Somebody ready to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so just to be clear, is your motion to direct staff to indicate that Credit River is willing to negotiate a transfer of ditch 4 responsibilities to the city with the main
Contingent to.
contingent to conditions of completing the projects that they outlined, positive fund balance, disclosure of past complaints and actions taken, release of liability, and release of any information or data that pertains to the ditch,
Such as maintenance records.
maintenance records and as built or plans.
Record of past actions.
Yeah, we covered that one.
Can we then have this contingent to, I guess, is this something that comes back to?
Yeah, because we'll have to provide a resolution.
To us to do a final decision.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is just a motion to direct staff to negotiate the terms.
Sounds
good.
We're not making a decision
No.
to assume it tonight?
We're not assuming it tonight. We're indicating, we're asking staff to work
Okay.
with
Thank
on
you.
the terms.
Turn it down when it comes back.
All right.
If they don't come back with meeting the conditions, then we can make a different decision. Okay, so I got that motion by Leroy. You're all good. Motion.
your motion? Yes, that's my motion.
All right, got a motion by Schomer, second by Zonto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. All right, move on to 7.4 settlement agreement with Clifton Larson Allen, Administrator Jaliski.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So a couple meetings back now, we had a meeting that was approved for myself and city attorney to negotiate on behalf of the city for a settlement for Clifton Larson Allen for hiring Sue. One of the things that we pointed out that we were not in agreement with is that the city does not feel like we owed a placement fee. Based on their requirements and their language, we didn't feel that was appropriate. We did come to a number that was within the guidelines that the council had set, and we had them write it up as a amendment to the SOW or scope of work contract. So that number was $10,000, and we are then done with Clifton Larson Allen and their contract for the interim finance director, because we have Sue on board now, and she is going to complete the budget that we had as part of that scope of work, and she's here day to day now. So this would finalize any of the contract we had with CLA.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Council members, any questions or comments?
Just a question, Steve, why is it an addendum to the scope of work as opposed to just a settlement agreement? Is there a specific reason for that?
Mayor and council, yes, they originally drafted this as a simple addendum to their scope of work, setting a placement fee. I revised their form to turn it into a settlement agreement, which is exactly what this is. It denies liability. We're not agreeing to anything. It outlines that the parties have a disagreement about whether there's a thing. And in the spirit of compromise in our business relationship, we're agreeing to a number. So it is a settlement agreement. The format in which it's plugged historically arises based on the way that they had presented it originally.
Yeah, I think it's just one of these things that I think it's unprofessional of Clifton Larson to try to skew their contract language and put this upon us when we followed a proper hiring process and proper and public hiring process. It's disappointing to see them stretch their language. I do appreciate that staff was able to negotiate with them to, rather than the $40,000, negotiate it to $10,000. But I do think it's important that we do recognize, what this actually is. It's, them kind of holding us hostage over something that really isn't, something that was in the contract. We followed the proper process. And it's really disappointing that for such a small number, they're holding us hostage over this thing. Because if we were to go to court on this matter, it would certainly cost us more than that.
If they took us to court.
And we don't know that, right?
Right, we don't know
So that's a risk, right, Bill, that it's tough to negotiate, it's tough to say what they'll do, right? But in the end, I think my whole point was really, I'm more disappointed, Bill, in trying to call out the fact that their actions are causing something here that's, I think we feel like we followed the correct process. That's all I'm trying to say, Bill.
I agree that we didn't do anything wrong and that their language told us we could do what we did and
then
they're getting money from us. And I don't think that they would have filed suit because it's so crystal clear. And as a business that deals with lots of municipalities, I think it would look horrible from a PR perspective that they're suing their clients for something that's as clear, relatively clear. I mean, we made the decision to hire Sue and we knew this clause was in the contract. We thought we were right. So yeah, I appreciate the lower amount, but I think it should be zero.
So what you're looking for tonight, Steve, is a motion to approve the final agreement and move on?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
Council, does anybody have any more questions or comments? If not,
Maybe just one more comment, and it's a little bit snarky, but I think anytime we have the opportunity to talk about Clifton Larson, we should make sure that people know about them. And the other thing is, I do agree, it should be zero, but how much time would Peter take talking with their lawyers and back and forth, and how quickly do we get to $10,000? Is there a chance it goes to court? Probably not, but do we still have a settlement? We've spent more time for Peter and their attorney. So in my opinion, I hate this with every fiber in me, but I think just to be done and move on. But I would strongly recommend never working with Clifton Larson again.
okay. Well, somebody ready to make that motion so we can move on from this?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jay.
I'll second.
Thank you, Abe. Motion by Siderbach, second by Zanto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Hey,
Motion passes 4-1. Moving on to 7.5, discussion to have a city council workshop on city governance and developing a code of conduct for elected officials. Steve, is this one yours?
Yes, I was asked by Councilmember Markert to have this on the agenda. And what this would include is what's in the packet. Initially, we had thought that someone from Peter's office would be able to hold this, just with scheduling and timing. That is not the case. So what we would be looking at is for a facilitator, probably within the league, if possible, otherwise another organization. And so all we're looking for is a consensus for staff to go look for someone to hold a workshop of this nature. If it's something that council is interested in pursuing and working through. And that would include the workshop itself would be for city governance and being on the same page, rules and expectations, and then also would be for effective use of and cost effectiveness of delegations of authority.
If
Okay.
I may just add a little context,
Yep.
Your Honor. Workshops like this that are done for councils like this, typically this isn't an hour or two workshop. This is maybe 3 or 4 workshops over a period of time to really have the council wrestle with what the issues are and come to some kind of mutual understanding. It's not a short, simple process. I just want to be clear about what the it is.
Yep, thank you.
Cost.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know that there's a cost that we have determined yet, because what the
We're asking for-
request is asked have staff reach out to some people.
Okay.
You know, whether that's through the League of Minnesota Cities. I know there's another organization called Braver Angels that does this for, actually, they're a nonprofit, does it for free, but so I think there's a couple opportunities that staff can look through to find some potential costs. Bill, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I like Breakers Angels, but that's a whole.
I'm just just a suggestion, Bill. I'm not saying we
Yeah.
use them or not, but it's one that I know other cities locally here in Scott County have used, and they've come to scale and done some presentations there. I know of them. That's all I know. I don't know what they've done or what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Whether we have a facilitator or not, we need to have a workshop if we're not gonna have a facilitator, because I definitely agree that we have to have a workshop to get everyone on, like, I wrote this, we wrote the same thing. Get everyone on the same page about what rules and expectations we all have between the mayor and the city council members, consider when we delegate authority. And because right now, I don't think we're all on the same page when it comes to that. And I think we need to improve the way we work with one another, because it's, tell you, it's tense. It's not fun right now. And I think we need to do the workshop, whether we find a facilitator or not. I prefer to have a facilitator, one that Peter said that in his firm, or he knows of someone that does this all the time. We're not special in terms of like.
That's right. So the common thing to need to do.
And in fact, there's an article in Star Tribune earlier in February of this year that talked about city councils not getting along with one another and setting up code of conducts and how you deal with one another. So it's I think we need to do it whether we have a facilitator or not. Hopefully, it's not going to be lots of money.
Mayor and council, to Councilmember Margaret's preference for facilitator, I would emphasize, my partner who does this all the time, it's indicated facilitator is kind of critical for these things to be successful.
Great.
We can look into this, and I understand if there's a motion, it will be to direct staff to do that. But it's my understanding the league does offer a free service for this. I don't know if that's the best one you will want to choose. Maybe it is, but there will be a range of options. But I would strongly recommend facilitator, or it may not work out the way you're hoping.
Agree. Yeah. With that, then I'll take this one. I'll make this motion then to direct staff to do some research on this and come back with some options for us.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Any other comments, questions?
If I could, I think I'd like to tackle one more additional thing, and I'm not sure how we do this, but I really think that there's two major future events that we need to look at and start to discuss, and there's a divide, and I think maybe it's another workshop, but if we find a good facilitator, maybe we could dovetail into a second one, which is more of the water and sewer and, you know, city hall and public works. So I think those are two things that we've just got to start really driving into a little bit to understand both sides of what's it's all about. So maybe it's two different things. I'm not saying we do this now, but just
One might resolve the other.
good.
I do have a question, and it goes back to the first one, which is cost again. I think I'm for this, but at the same time, we just had a workshop where we were looking at budgets. And I'm just kind of curious where, you know, if we should be thinking about adding something to that budget in order to cover this and then do it right, and probably not use the free service, but
Well, I think,
get a
Jay,
good
I think,
facilitator.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that comment. I think the important thing is that the motion tonight was to direct staff to give us some options.
Okay, so
Right,
we're not
so
actually,
we're proving
going
this,
forward.
right? Because we don't have a number tonight. We're asking staff to bring us back.
but at the
some
same
options.
time, I guess the reason that I'm bringing up that budget thing is because we kind of have a
Mhm.
hard line that we're coming up at. To make sure that we've got money to pay for things. And so if we, you know, obviously we need an answer. If there is cost, and I'm sure there should be. Before the next meeting. Where we're going to approve a budget at. So we would need to make sure that we at least get something. Into that for this.
Well, let's have staff do the research and figure out what we got. Hopefully we have something shortly and we can see if something needs to happen there, Jay.
All right.
Anything else? Otherwise, I've got a motion by myself, seconded by Bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to 7.6. Ditch mowing quotes.
Thank
Administrator
you,
Zelinski.
Mayor and Council. A few meetings ago, it was asked to go out for quotes for ditch mowing. One clarification that I wanted to make with this as well is we had a resolution for Councilmember Schomer's rate of pay. This should not have been on there. This is separate of that resolution. And so, I mean, that current resolution stands as is, so we don't need to make any adjustment to that. This would be a separate vendor contract, just like we would for any service that the city does. So with that said, we did put out a request for quotes for ditch mowing. We actually received 3. One of them came in after the deadline. But we have 2 here. One of those is from Councilmember Schomer at $140 an hour. The other came in from TGM Services at $225 an hour. The third one was at $250 an hour, just for context, so you're aware of that. So if you have any questions regarding this, otherwise staff recommendation would be to approve the quote from Councilmember Schomer at $140 an hour with a signed affidavit of official interest and claim like has been done in the past.
So certificate of liability insurance too.
Correct. And we have that on file already.
Mayor and council, I believe it'd be appropriate before discussion of the item begins if Councilmember Schomer would recuse himself or make it clear he's abstaining.
Okay. Thank you. Council members, comments or thoughts? If there's none, I'd be happy to take a motion to approve one of our vendors so we can get on with our ditch mowing.
So moved.
Jake, can you make your motion clear?
All right, I move that we hire Leroy Schomer at $140 an hour. First quote. To mow the 35 miles of ditch. Twice a year, June and September.
Okay. Got a
That's-
motion?
That's for the remainder of 25 and 2026. Was okay.
I'll second.
Thank you, Abe. So I've got a motion and a second to approve Leroy Schomer for ditch mowing services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. 7.7, discussion about City of Credit River apparel, Administrator Jelinski.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. And with budget talks, I'm not sure if we want to bring it up, but we've had discussions since I've started here about having apparel for staff to have at events like meetings in the park or night to night or going to conferences. It's a real common and typical thing for cities to have logoed apparel for staff and for council to have to wear to all these events just for marketing and advertising and just for to say, hey, I'm proud to work for the city of Credit River and here's our logo and this is who I'm here to represent. So the thought was to see if the council was open to doing that, and then if so, then direct staff to go and get some possible quotes of what that might cost for several options of apparel for the staff to wear.
Mhm. I don't think it'd hurt to do the research and find some sources and come up with some options. I know there's, some thinking through like, For Impact is a big national vendor that could maybe provide some options that, were different.
Or imprint
For imprint, yeah. Then the other vendor, Big Impact Group over in Chanhassen, is one that I've worked with in the past too, that could set up a store so people could purchase from it as well. So I think there's some different types of options, or even just a small one-off type of embroidery service somewhere, right?
There's
I mean,
also
I
a
think there's
possibility
a couple different.
to actually just take a shirt to them. And have
A local embroidery shop, right? They have to have our logo on file and stuff, so I think it'd be worthwhile to take a look at. Because I think there might be some other interest from maybe even council might want to buy something as well, if they, somebody wants to have.
Well, are we talking about buying it or are we talking about a giveaway?
So I don't know that the council can receive that for free. I think the council members have to buy.
It's buying when you.
Somebody donated them.
Yeah.
In the past, yeah. But I think it's worthwhile doing the research. You don't wear yours?
Very often. We don't have enough without wearing it.
So I'm just thinking it'd be worthwhile doing some research and having a proposal.
So do we need to actually do a legislation or just? You need a motion?
Sure.
And you know what, I think staff probably appreciates having a
All
motion.
right, I move that we have staff explore options for Credit River apparel.
I'll second that. A motion is second to direct staff to research some options for Credit River apparel for staff and council. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Move on to 7.8, which is 3.1 from the consent agenda. Abe pulled that from.
Looking
Sorry.
at the past minutes, 7.5 was the Kruger Properties storage space lease conversation last time. And in the first paragraph on 7.5, the second sentence says a committee was formed to work on finding solutions for protecting the health, welfare, and security of employees while the city worked on some long-term needs. I don't believe that's an accurate statement. Looking at the meeting last time, that I think that was more of a comment about the committee of the Government Center Advisory Committee. So I'd like to strike that second sentence from the minutes.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Second it.
Thank you, Jay. Motion is second to approve the minutes with the amended sentence removed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Staff and council member updates. I will look to my
Mr.
right.
Mr. Mayor, you've struck something from the draft minutes. Now we need to have a motion adopting the minutes.
That was why the motion was to approve the minutes with the change.
Oh, if that's the motion, we're good. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I missed that.
Yep.
And then my first staff report is to apologize for missing that. That's all I got.
Nice.
First paragraph.
Right?
No, I have nothing.
Nothing. Abe?
No.
Leroy?
Bill, I don't know if you got to the parks to look at the park equipment.
I did not because nobody said anything when I offered to volunteer doing that, so I figured no one wanted me to do it. No one acknowledged me, so I did.
Let you, maybe gonna, but anyhow. I went
You want
out-
me to do it? Nobody said anything. I volunteered. Nobody said anything.
Yes.
I went out and looked at it before the school started here,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
they're all okay. Did get 2 complaints. One at St. Francis, gal, one of the goose droppings swept off of the basketball court.
There's a lot of geese there.
And the rocks swept off of Creekwood off the basketball court. So. I told her we couldn't do much about the goose, hope it rains, and Creekwood, got the kids that threw them on there, get them on. That's that, otherwise, everything is good, it's all okay, it all looks good.
Okay,
Remind everybody watching that we have councilmen in the parks.
that's what I was gonna do, yeah.
Okay.
If you could let me have my turn, you know.
Sure.
Tomorrow night, last park meeting of the year, Casey's Park. Steve, if we can try to get out tomorrow, email on that one. Cause we haven't done any advertising on that one, so we should make sure we do that. That's all I got. Nothing, Bill?
We got scale on Friday. They're gonna talk about fire again. And then, yeah, we got the workshop next week, the 16th, the joint workshop between GCCAC and the council. And then, I had I'm gonna go to the ditch meeting too.
Oh,
to
the
them
county board
next- and I
meeting
think that's
next
week,
Tuesday
too.
morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tuesday morning.
They also stream that online, by the way, if anybody,
Yeah,
wants to
I'm gonna
watch it.
go there.
that's fun. I'm just saying, if anybody wants to sit at home and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sue, anything? No? Shane? No? No. Microservices, that's all done, right? Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the microsurfing is completed. The only thing that remains is the striping.
Oh, yeah.
But the striping, the recommendation is to wait about 3 or 4 weeks from after the microsurfacing is applied until the time you stripe, because if you
The
stripe
oil.
too fast, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the bypass lanes, are those completed now?
So
Or the turn lanes, whatever you
yeah,
call
the
them?
northern bypass lane is largely completed, it's paved. They're working on doing dirt work today. The southern one, the utilities are now out of the way, they're gonna start with the major dirt work.
Perfect. Leroy, you had one more thing?
And there is a catch basin that needs repair and banks addition.
Correct.
And the cul-de-sac, so. Which one? The only one that's down there.
No, there's 2 cul-de-sacs. One at the end of Johanna.
Um,
Oh, at that one. Yeah, yeah, okay. I
very
was thinking
bottom
the
where
other
catch
difference.
basin
Yep.
is,
Yeah, that one
it's
is
sunk.
it's sunk.
By the way, there's like 5 or 6 dead trees around that NNG thing that they built a couple years
There's
ago.
been a complaint about that and,
Yeah, are they gonna fix that?
yeah, so
Okay.
that's that is a part of their conditional use permit, so
yeah.
we'll have to issue them a letter of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that one complaint I forwarded you last week. Yep.
Be terrible if we turn the gas off, Bill, huh?
Well, the good news is Leroy, is that gas doesn't serve anybody in Credit River, so
Oh, that's.
that serves Savage, so we can shut theirs off. Linda, I'm not gonna put you on the spot and see if you have any updates for us, but just in case anybody hasn't noticed, Linda, I know we hired her at the last meeting, so joining us for first council meeting tonight. Thank you, Linda, and we appreciate having you here. So in the future, if you do have anything to add at this point, this would be an appropriate spot to jump in, so. Abe,
Can I make the motion to adjourn, please?
absolutely.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion motion by Zonto, second by Schomer, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Linda, if you will just take the house and stop the Zoom meeting. Look down the lower right corner.
Oh.